Confit duck legs are hands down one of my favorite meals. The skin is super crispy, the meat's falling apart, falling off the bone. It's rich, it's tender, it's got incredible flavor. This is a project that can seem like you don't have a chance, there's no way you can do this. I think it's pretty simple. It's really just 5 steps, and more than anything, it just takes a little bit of time. Okay, so there's 5 steps to making confit duck legs. You're gonna season them overnight, you're gonna cook them, you're gonna cool them, you're gonna sear them, you're gonna plate them, that's it. It's really basic. I raise Muscovies. This is my 4th season. We just finished up harvesting our 3rd season of ducklings. We've got 5 residents. Each of the girls raise about 10 to 14 ducklings. This year we had 31. Last year they did 34. The year before that we were just getting started, we had 21. And I get to go through the process of, having these guys raised in our backyard, and we feed them stuff from the garden and we take care of them. And then when they reach the right size, I slaughter them, I pluck them, I eviscerate them, I butcher them, and then I pack them up. I have all this amazing food in the freezer that we raised in our backyard. Pretty cool experience for the family, for the kids, for myself. Being in the restaurant, we want to make confit duck legs, you call it the meat supplier, they need a dozen duck legs and however many pounds of rendered duck fat. And the ingredients show up, and a couple days later you've got confit duck legs. So the way I'm doing it is a little bit more meaningful to me, but it's not necessary. You can certainly go to probably a higher end supermarket, like a Whole Foods kind of market, to get some duck legs. They will be in the freezer section, totally fine. Mine are all cryovac and frozen. When I break them down, I just cryovac them into individuals, so I can always just, first in, first out, and pick out the number of legs that I want to cook that are all about the same size. As far as duck fat goes, I render all my own fat. When I break down the birds after they've been eviscerated, I take all the visceral fat and I render it so I have my own duck fat to cook my confit legs in. And it's the project that is going to end up on the table at Thanksgiving and at Christmas time and a few other times throughout the year. I mean, we do have 62 duck legs in the freezer, so I do dedicate most of those legs to confit. It's still special, no matter how many of them I do. In any case, duck fat at Whole Foods type of market, get more than you think. In this recipe in the description, I think I'm using about, let's see, I've got I believe a whole mason jar and then like another pint. So about 3 pints of fat to get enough fat to cover my duck legs. So however many duck legs you want to do, 4 to 6 will probably be, 1.5 quarts to 2 quarts of duck fat, to give you some reference. It's scalable. So where do we start? Well, we're gonna need to season our legs overnight. So step 1, we gotta season the legs. 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, somewhere in that neighborhood. You can take them out of your cryovac. They should be defrosted. You're not gonna season frozen duck legs. So if you need to take out some frozen legs earlier in the day, defrost them, bowl of cold water, whatever. So they'll come out of cryovac, we'll season them with pink Himalayan or some kind of kosher salt, something like that, just regular salt. We're gonna be kind of gentle with the salt because they're going overnight. I'm probably gonna start these at sometime between 7 and 8 a.m. in the morning. And you don't want to season them as aggressively as you'd season like a 2-inch thick ribeye that's gonna go on the grill. We wanna be a little bit conservative. We want salt penetration, but not so much that it's salty. I know confit duck can sometimes lean more towards the salty side, especially if you go to Europe, you're in France, you have like duck rillette or something like that. It's gonna be pretty salty. This is gonna be the centerpiece of a meal, and I want it to have balance. I want it to be seasoned, but not salty. Season both sides, and then as far as aromatics go, it's common to have some black peppercorns, garlic, thyme, and then maybe like a little slice of onion. I'm skipping all of it except for the smashed clove of garlic. I'm cooking for my kids, for my family, and I want to keep this simple, and I want to make sure that they appreciate it on the plate. A smashed clove of garlic is also going to impart way more flavor. You're going to be surprised. So stick with this, keep it simple. In the future, you could expand and add in like maybe a little sprig of thyme or a tiny sprig of rosemary, something like that. Or do it now, whatever you like. it's an option, you know, kind of changing your aromatics just a little bit. Also very common to have a clove stuck into the joint of where the drumstick and the thigh bone meet together, and then that'll be removed later. So there's a lot of interpretation here. If you go on to Googling recipes, you're gonna probably see those variations. But a clove of garlic smashed is all you need. You're gonna put it against the meat side on each leg and just layer them into a container, cover it. It's going in the fridge overnight, and then the next morning, so 7, 8 a.m., I mean, we're looking at, you know, 10-ish hours later, something like that. You know, 9 or 10 to 7 to 8 a.m. Yeah, like 10 hours-ish. And we're gonna cook them. Any pot is good. We can use an enameled cast iron pot, like a Le Creuset style pot. An all-clad stainless steel pot is great too. Something that's got like a heavy bottom that's gonna transmit heat nice and even. Legs go in, discard the garlic cloves, and if you did decide to go black peppercorns and a sprig of thyme or rosemary, get rid of all that stuff. It's not gonna be your friend cooking in the fat for as long as this is gonna cook for. So discard your aromatics. You're gonna put just the duck legs into the pot. You're gonna layer them in so they fit real nice, puzzle piece them kind of together in there. And then we're gonna cover them with fat. They've gotta be covered. I gave you kind of a ballpark, maybe 3 pints to 3 to 4 pints to cover 4 to 6 legs, depending on how big the legs are. These are legs off of boy Muscovies. These guys are massive. Some of the breasts that I took off of these birds weighed in at 18 to 19 ounces. Big, big birds. So they've got big legs on them too. I never bother to weigh the legs because they have bone in them, so they're big. These are enough to make a meal on their own, but usually I pair them with, like I do a duo of breast and confit leg, because it's good that way. And that's usually a Thanksgiving meal and then like a Christmas meal, traditionally in our house. All right, so where are we? We've got our fat in the pot with our duck legs. It's covered. We're gonna bring it up kind of to like a boil. We're gonna bring it to kind of like a rolling boil, and then we're gonna turn it down to a simmer. We wanna go slow. We want these legs, we want movement in the fat. We don't want it boiling, but we also don't want to poach them. We don't want to go so slow that this becomes a 6-hour project. Here we are at about 30 minutes in. They're moving. We got a nice steady movement in the fat. I like this speed. We're going to go from here. Now, how long are these going to cook? This is a slow project. In my experience, I'm at altitude, so this takes me about 3.5 to 4 hours. If you're at sea level, it's probably going to be much faster, more in the 2.5 to 3 hour range, depending on how fast you're going here with the speed of the fat, you know, how it's simmering. It's going to start out, it's going to look kind of cloudy, and then over time as it cooks, it's going to become more clear. And when you start, the legs might kind of plump up as all the moisture is expanding and the proteins are contracting, so they might kind of rise up out of the fat a little bit. We want to make sure that the meat is in the fat. It's okay if you get like a little, the very end of the drumsticks kind of sticking out. That'll be fine, but you know, as time moves on, make sure that the meat is completely submerged in the fat and it's just rolling nice and steady, nice and slow. Gently simmering, something in that neighborhood. And you can see kind of how these move along at different times here. Eventually when they're done, like how do we know when they're done if we've got this ambiguous time and it might take different at altitude and sea level and whatever? We're gonna use a paring knife. We're gonna use a paring knife to probe or to test the meat. This is not a project that you can use a thermometer for. You don't need a meat thermometer. We need something to test how tender the meat is. So I'm using the paring knife and I'm gonna slide it into the meat, like right here going into the drumstick. And I want the knife to slide in without me having to stab it and press in and force it. I don't want to have to apply force. I want to be able to push it through the meat and be able to pull it out of the meat without picking up the leg. So if you stab it and you pick up the leg, it's not done. The first time that you should test these and like start stabbing them, because you got to remember we're going to be leaving a puncture wound in the leg, and then it's going to, you know, not be great for us, our aesthetic on the plate, because you're going to see that. So we don't want to just keep stabbing it all the time. I say at about the 2.5 to 2 hour mark, you test it. And from there you can get a feel for like, okay, so this one feels like I can slide the knife in and out. And then maybe you check another one. And once you get to that point where the knife goes in smooth and comes out smooth, you're done. Kill the heat, and they're gonna rest in the fat. You could completely cool them in the fat, get them cold, and then go in the fridge, and they're stable there for a good solid 7 days in the fat, maybe even longer, probably even 2 weeks, but conservative 7 days for sure. This is a same-day project in this video. I'm going to let them cool in the fat in the pot. And these cooked from like 7:45, 8 o'clock in the morning until about close to noonish. And I left them in the pot. I was going to cook them for dinner. This is a bunch of different videos here. I'm taking B-roll from all over the place. But Thanksgiving and Christmas were two of the times that I shot some of this B-roll, some of this footage. So planning on doing dinner at like 6 or 6:30 or whatever. At 5 o'clock-ish, I've got my grill rolling. I'm going to cook these in cast iron on the grill because I want that flavor of charcoal and hickory and smoke. It makes it so much better. It's not necessary. You can absolutely do this on the stovetop. It's not like I'm taking a left turn at Albuquerque and leaving you behind. This is a project that does not have to be done on the grill. It's just how I'm choosing to do it for flavor, but also for cleanup. This is going to make a grease splatter mess. And instead of making the grease splatter mess somewhere where I need to clean it up, I do it outside. If you have a grill that has like a propane burner, might be a good choice to do this outside so you don't have to deal with like the grease splatter that's going to end up on your countertop and your floor and all that. Your call. Anyway, if you go countertop or cooktop, burner, gas or electric, you're going to get your cast iron skillet. I like cast iron for this. It produces like a really nice even cooking heat. So I've taken my legs out of the fat. They have like a coating of residual fat on them. It should be enough in the pan to provide all the fat I need to cook these guys in. And yes, they are already cooked. We're searing them. So basically we're creating crispy skin now and then getting the meat hot so we can bring it to the plate. If you're going on stovetop, just like I was saying, I got distracted, get your pan hot. Go on high heat, get a haze happening in your pan. I'm going on the grill, same thing. I'm getting a nice haze happening in my skillet. And then I'm gonna puzzle piece again, right? So I'm gonna puzzle piece my legs so they fit. And once you land a leg, you can't move it. This is a simple project. I think it's an easy project. This is the one spot where you find success or failure with what you bring to the table. It's the skin and this melting, falling apart, super rich and delicious meat that blows people's mind. So establishing the skin right here is gonna make or break how impressed your guests, your family, your diners, whatever, how impressed they are. So when you land it in the pan, don't move it. Put it where it is, let it be there, fit another one in. Think about how these guys are gonna go together. I'm using a 10-inch skillet. I wish I had a 12-inch just to have more room to get these guys to fit in the pan better. They're not flat, and they're not gonna sit flat. They're cold, they're cooled to room temperature, so they've kind of set up a little bit. So they've got rounded surfaces. As it warms up, they're gonna kind of relax and lay down into the pan a little bit more. Whether you're on the grill like me or you're on a gas cooktop range, move the pan. So I'm trying to adjust heat by moving the pan versus messing with my legs. I want to let them sit against that hot surface and establish that really solid browned skin, real crispy. And eventually as it does that, then you'll be able to move them if you need to kind of reorient them a little bit to get a little more color on like a drumstick or a little bit more exposure to heat on like the edge of a thigh or something like that. But in the beginning, let them be. If you need them to be in general, if you're on a range or cooktop or whatever, the back side of the pan, the side that's away from you, like the 12 o'clock side in relation to you, 6 o'clock, 12 o'clock, is gonna have more heat. So spinning the pan 180 will put the cooler side over at the hotter side. And as the legs release fat, you can kind of tip and tilt the pan and make sure that the fat is circulating around and everything's well lubricated. You can also add a spoonful, like a tablespoon or 2 tablespoons of duck fat from cooking the confit legs, just to provide more lubrication. This is it depends type of situation as far as how much fat do you need in the pan. It just depends on how much came with you with the legs. And a little bit more fat is going to help you have that frying, searing effect on more of the surface area of the skin. So don't be afraid to add some fat. When you're done, we can still save that fat also. So what are we doing? We're not cooking them, we're searing them, right? And we're going to sear them until they're a beautiful, rich, brown, crispy color. And then we can flip them over and let them rest in the hot pan, bring it in, and then we can start setting up our plate. I lean into the winter flavors. This is more of a fall winter meal for me. And I like, a mashed potatoes and braised cabbage. Thanksgiving, I'll do like a candied butternut squash. Think candied yams, but butternut squash instead. It's way better. Try it. It's a cool change. And then as far as like a sauce goes, a red wine duck sauce is great. Something with mustard in it gives it a little bit of acidity, which goes really nice with some, if you are doing like a braised cabbage with bacon and caraway seeds and mashed potatoes, a little bit of a sauce that has like a whole grain mustard vibe is cool. And then I've also done like a white wine sage kind of gravy on Thanksgiving also. So a lot of room for interpretation. I'll leave that for you. I'm not giving any recipes for what to plate. If the legs are big enough, they can go on their own and be a meal. If they're smaller, I recommend going like a duo of duck, like I was saying earlier. And link in the description how to cook duck breast. That is also a simple thing. I think anybody can cook duck breast really well and have, a very impressive plate show up in front of somebody when you've got duck breast and confit legs. So simple process, right? We seasoned our legs overnight. We cooked them real slow in our duck fat. We cooled them off. We seared them, and then we plated them. What's left? How about the leftover duck fat? What do we do with it? Well, it's still good. And I'll get about 4, maybe 5 batches of confit legs out of this duck fat. So to save it, I'm gonna put the pot back on the fire, and I'm gonna turn the heat on. And I wanna simmer off any liquid that might be in there. I don't wanna burn the stuff. There's gonna be some residual drippings and liquids and things that have stuck to the bottom as the legs were releasing the juices inside of them. Oil and water, oil and vinegar, the water, so all the juices from the duck settle in the bottom, and it kind of crispies a little bit on the bottom of the pot, a little bit. So we don't want to burn it. We just want to bring it up to heat and simmer off any moisture that's inside it. It will clarify, it will get super clear and golden, and then you can strain it off. I store it in mason jars. Make sure that if you are straining it into a mason jar, the mason jar has been heated. Fill it with super hot water out of the tap. Because if you go hot fat into cold mason jar, you do risk breaking a mason jar, and then you have fat all over the place. And it's a complete loss and a terrible project or cleanup fat that's on the counter. I cool it, and then lid and refrigerate. And I usually, it doesn't last me more than like 6 months, because after about that time, 6 to 8 months, all the duck is gone. And I've made plenty of batches of confit. It'll get to a point where the fat starts to have a salinity to it. And that's kind of the point at about batch 4, batch 5, where I have to make the hard choice to throw it away or risk having my next batch be like a little bit salty. You could also freeze it. If you decide, I'm going to make confit duck legs in 7 months or 8 months from now, and just one more time or whatever it is, it's not going to be a regular use thing, cryovac it and then freeze it. It's good in the freezer for 1 to 3 years. It'll last a long time there. If you do that, certainly reserve some in like a small mason jar. It's great cooking fat. I highly recommend like mushrooms, eggs, potatoes. Things cooked in duck fat have a whole nother dimension of incredible flavor. I highly recommend it. So simple project, duck legs, source them at your supermarket, or if you have a butcher that can get them for you, or if you know a local farmer. This is a meal that changes people's opinion about duck. When this is done well and the skin is crispy and the meat is falling off the bone, you will blow people's minds.